Welcome to the Headley Highlight Show's Royal Corner. This week in the Royal Corner, Prince Harry gives a significant donation to a London City charity. Duchess of Sussex thanks Prince Harry for 7 years of marriage and a lifetime of stories in the beautiful Instagram montage. King Charles to deliver, apparently, a powerful message, allegedly, as he walks a diplomatic tightrope. Indolent Queen-in-Waiting Kate sees waxworks revealed at Madame Tussauds, telling the difference between the two somewhat difficult. Also in the Headley Highlight Show's Royal Corner, Prince William, the green-eyed king-in-waiting, says David Attenborough was his inspiration for his latest environmental docuseries on park rangers. We also have Sycophant of the Week. And finally, Lazy Katie leaves fans in hysterics, according to the headline, due to a Scottish mishap on her trip. Would that include mumbling and muffling her words? All this and more on the Headley Highlight Show's Royal Corner. So before I jump into the show this week, I would like to say a big thank you to all of my returning listeners who have been jumping all over the Royal Corner. My subscription rate is moving beautifully and exponentially, darlings. One now has 1,300 subscribers. I'm aiming to get to 1,500 and then into the stratosphere, darlings. 10,000, 20,000, 50,000. Why aim low when you can aim high? Whilst placing myself into the trajectory of betterment, please do jump all over to my YouTube channel, which is deniseheadley.com, where you can become a subscriber by pressing the notification bell. You can also jump over to my website, which is deniseheadley.com, where you can make a donation. I accept fiat as well as cryptocurrencies. Do buy me wings and chips, or the price of such wings and chips and a Miranda. I'm also partial to a whole range of different foods from all over the world, which you may wish to sponsor. Right, darlings, the preamble's out the way. Let's jump straight into the show. So the first story I want to bring to your attention is that Prince Harry gives a significant sum of money to a London charity. So this story is about Prince Harry giving money to a London-based charity whose primary objective is to tackle racism and poverty in the city. In 2020, he gave the charity a donation of £10,000, and this charitable sum has remained undisclosed. Don't forget, this is not public money. This is money that they've earned out of their own hard work and endeavour. And they're actually giving it away, unlike the firm who doesn't give 10 pence to anybody. HIMA, which works to tackle racism and poverty in the city, has received the undisclosed sum, and it will be used to fund 650 food parcels for vulnerable families. Sajid Mohammed, who is the director of the charity, said, "To have been chosen by such a high-profile royal once is amazing. But to have been chosen by Prince Harry twice, we are completely gobsmacked and hugely humbled." In a letter to the charity, Prince Harry said, "The incredible work HIMA does to address food insecurity, poverty and social exclusion should be recognised and applauded." This is the type of genuine philanthropy and charity that the couple is known for. And this is in stark contrast to the theatrical false productions of environmental concern we see expressed by other members of the royal household. And we'll be touching on that later. Yes, William is now making a movie about the park rangers. What happened to your homelessness movie, William? Your green-eyed self? Why don't you focus on one failing project at a time? Please, for all our sakes. Also in the Headley Highlight Show's Royal Corner, Prince Harry and Princess Meghan celebrated their 7th anniversary, and she actually revealed a beautiful montage on Instagram. She thanked Harry for basically 7 years of creating stories, which effectively is the lattice which pins their life together, that their family, their children, their experiences. And I thought this was a really nice article, and also it was a really nice way of showing them in a different way, because we do have some pictures of the couple, but not as many pictures as there would be if they didn't control their own images. So when we saw this montage, it was a nice collection, and there was pictures of her being in her when she was pregnant, and then the usual bitterati came out and said it was some sort of fake belly or fake pregnancy, and she wasn't pregnant, you know, the usual thing. But what was also interesting in and amongst all of that conversation was that Duchess of Sussex now is the most followed royal on social media. Her Instagram account now is 3 million. So all the time when people were saying, oh, she's not a popular person or no one's interested in her. Well, I'm sorry, the reality defies the rhetoric, because she's got 3 million subscribers. And in the space of however long, what was that, 15 weeks since she's launched it? It's not even that long. So well done to her once again. So let's chew all over the Green-Eyed King's ambitions in his docuseries. Yes, he's making another failed TV production, which no one will be watching. And no one will be buying any popcorn for that production. Let's dive in, shall we, darlings? Attenborough was inspiration for the show, and he means David Attenborough. And for those people who are not familiar with David Attenborough, he's a bit of a national institution because he is an environmentalist who's been an environmentalist for absolutely years. He's made some wonderful TV programs, and he's been making them over a number of generations, and people have grown up with him. So now the Green-Eyed King in waiting once again is hitching his petard to a national hero and saying, because of the national hero, I am inspired with the environment. Henceforth, the article from Daniela Ralph, senior royal correspondent at BBC News. She writes, the Prince of Wales has described Sir David Attenborough as a big inspiration for him growing up, and the motivation behind his new wildlife documentary highlighting the work of rangers. And for all those individuals who don't know what rangers are, they're essentially park supervisors, people who work in parks. They probably might do a bit of conservation, monitoring, a whole range of things. But quite often they're very poorly paid. And that's why probably Prince William is advocating for them to be, growing in droves, because poorly paid people are just fantastic for, the system that we have. In an unexpected appearance at a screening earlier this week, Prince William, one of the more senior leeches in waiting, credited the veteran nature presenter with being able to present wonderful parts of the world to many of us. Most of us will never get a chance to visit. Well, that's quite true, William. We probably won't, not unlike yourself, flying around the world, you and your wife, emitting God knows how many CO2s into the atmosphere. And let's not forget when you went to that trip in Glasgow where she went to the event and muffled her words, they went on separate planes. Focus, Denise, move back. Don't get off on a tangent, darling. He said he hoped this new 6-part series called Guardians does the same type of thing. Well, if this isn't follow Fashion Week, I really don't know what is. First, he's the latest environmentalist. He cares about the Rangers. Then he's a diplomat, traversing the world stage, navigating tightropes, political ones, of course. And now he's the Bear Grylls of Windsor, forging through the undergrowth, foraging for mushrooms, and teaching the park rangers to preserve all of these important things in the natural habitat. Where would we be without you, William? Darlings, do let me know how many people do watch your show. I'm looking forward to reading the ratings and finding out if it appears on any league tables of any description, ever. Right! King Charles to deliver powerful message as he walks diplomatic tightrope, according to this particular headline. But in my estimation, he's just not reading the room too well, is he, darlings? So while I discuss this story, I think it's important to bring forward Michael Moran of OK Magazine. Do come in, Mr. Moran. Take a quick seat. Mr. Moran goes on to write a nose-choking, grabbing your throat, gasping for air, rancid article about the king and his latest exploit, his new visit to Canada. By the way, there are 2 of those visits planned. King Charles is gearing up for a landmark royal visit to Canada, with insiders hinting it could serve as a strong signal to US President Donald Trump, who has openly expressed his ambition to annex the nation and turn it into the 51st state of the USA. Now, firstly, the article is pitting the royal family against the President of America. Not a particularly good move. In addition to that, they center the king as some sort of force for good for Canada, because he will be bolstering and standing next to the Canadians. What this article fails to address, and Mr. Moran is wearing his colonial blinkers, is that the Commonwealth, the vast majority of it, no longer want to have the British royal family as their head of state. Many of them are trying to move away from that. But instead, the current king and his Plan B queen are desperate for the institution to remain in aspic, therefore reaffirming their commitment to an independent Canada, which basically it's not because you're still head of state, is a way of tethering yourself and us to the past. So not really reading the room once again, Charles. Later in the year, Charles will be returning to Canada in November, where the Plan B Queen will be sworn in as part of their Privy Council. I'm sure this will make for excellent lawmaking for the Canadians, and it will give them a great deal of assurance that she's sitting there presiding over presumably something she may have read in advance. You hope. Mr. Moran continues. Jeremy Kingsman, the former Canadian High Commissioner to the UK, believes the trip is significant for the monarch, stating it's going to be a very affirmative position for Canadian sovereignty. And I can say personally that it's something that King Charles will celebrate, saying, I have no doubt. So Jeremy doesn't know exactly what he's going to say, but he has no doubt that he's going to potentially say something about affirming Canadian sovereignty. The mere fact that the king is affirming Canadian sovereignty politicizes the British royal family. And they're supposed to be apolitical, Mr. Moran, but that's just not a feature that your article wants to include. He goes on to enlighten us that the king's diplomatic skills are thoughtful. His mastery of that diplomatic tightrope has become even more acutely aware of how to walk it out since he ascended to the throne. Jeremy effectively is acting as the mouthpiece to formulate the narrative around the king's visit. It's a perfect example of how the British press are obsequious and their only function is to maintain the status quo. And Michael Morgan's article is a perfect example of that. And for that, Mr. Morgan, you get Sycophant of the Week. Thank you. Thank you so much. Michael Morgan of OK Magazine. Also in the Headley Highlight Show's Royal Corner, Kate, the sloth Queen in Waiting's waxwork is unveiled at Madame Tussauds, and I beg the question, can you tell the difference between that and the real one? Meow, Denise, meow. And this article also features another sycophant, because there has to be a podium position, often for 2, possibly 3, is Samuel Montgomery of the Telegraph, in addition to Steve Blackburn from Madame Tussauds. Both of them share the podium spot this week for Sycophant of the Week because of this article and also the comments by Mr. Blackburn of Madame Tussauds. Mr. Montgomery writes, the Princess and the Prince of Wales flank the King and Queen in a replica throne room at the Baker Street attraction. Now, for all of those individuals who have not had the misfortune of going to Madame Tussauds, it's an overly priced, dark, hot attraction. On entering, you'll need a fan and a torch.
And it's chocked full of mannequins made of wax. Some important people are in there. So I beg to differ that this particular unveiling is a person of importance, in my opinion. The princess's latest figure has been dressed in a replica Jenny Packman gown, silver Givantio Rossirina, 105 pumps, and the signature Lover's Knot tiara she wore to the annual diplomatic reception in 2023. The replica tiara, and this is once again, they're stretching, trying to make the association. The replica tiara is from Madame Tussauds London archives and was worn by the figure of Princess Diana in 1980. So they're really trying to make the association between her and Princess Diana because people know that she was a loved character and Kate just is not. The article, or should I say Mr. Montgomery, then brings in this week's other contender of the week, Steve Blackburn of Madame Tussauds, who said, "We are delighted that the new figure of the much-loved Catherine," really, who's he been chatting to? "Princess of Wales, has officially landed in the Royal Palace experience at our attraction in the heart of London, continuing our centuries-long work with the royal family." Just check the receipts for Madame Tussauds. I don't imagine it's one of the attractions on anyone's list that's not with a paid tour operator. No one independently chooses to go there. The Green-Eyed King waxwork also has an outfit change. Not that you would notice that with the real Green-Eyed King. As far as I'm concerned, the waxwork probably serves more purpose than him. Dressed in a black tuxedo by Ed and Ravencroft, a tailor with a long history of providing attire to the royal family, ooh, swoon, with a white bow tie to match the reception gown draped on the effigy of the prince. Mr. Blackburn once again interjects and says, "Kate majestically," listen to the language, majestically. God, he's such a bumsuck. "Kate majestically," I should actually call him a bumsuck. I think the appropriate term is brown noser. "Kate majestically crafted by our talented studio team has been sculpted to ensure her resemblance is fit for a future queen alongside her dashing husband." Who even speaks like this? Yeah, Mr. Blackburn, you have to get Sycophant of the Week top position just for those two adjectives, majestically and dashing. So Mr. Blackburn is definitely sharing the podium position, but Mr. Montgomery closes with the following parting shot, showing why he has to be on the podium because he's part of the bitterati. He writes, "Prince Harry remained in the room with the king's coronation the following year, while Meghan," yeah, he doesn't refer to her as her name properly, Duchess of Sussex, "was relegated to the Hollywood area." Listen to the language, relegated, so kicked out, pushed out. But the pair are both noticeably absent from the latest installation. And who would want to be standing amongst them in the flesh or in wax anyway? Please. And for that, Mr. Blackburn and Mr. Montgomery, you both get Sycophants of the Week. Well done. You deserve it. Excellent. Not. Also in the Headley highlight shows Royal Corner, sloth in waiting indolent queen Kate Middleton. I like that one. Should I say it again? Sloth in waiting indolent queen Kate Middleton leaves royal fans in hysterics after mishap in Scotland trip. Actually, I should actually put this story up for part of the Sycophant of the Week because there's just so many of them this week. This is from an article called The New Scottish Daily Express, and it talks about Kate Middleton and her mishap in Scotland. What this article didn't tell you was about the fact that when she went there, she was muffling her words. I was just doing that on the mic. Muffling her words. She had a script to read. Basically, I named this ship Glasgow. How hard is that? But yet she couldn't manage that. Also, she flew up there on a separate plane to her husband. So they both went up in publicly funded planes, flying over Scotland, emitting CO2s separately, and then they appeared in public together. What is that? I told you that marriage is vanilla. The whole thing is fake news. And then all of the papers wanted us to talk about her dress. And that flying saucer hat she had on her head like a dinner plate that was tilting at the side of the dish rack. I must admit, she looked nice in the dress. But it was boring. But it suited her frame because, she's like, A4, flat back and front. So that kind of style's going to work on her. But it's not going to work on anyone who, comes from the continent and carries Africa behind them. It's not working for you buxom sisters. We're not going to be able to get into that. And there was a whole article that the dress was sold out, and it turned out that it was available in all sizes and nobody had it in the basket, the wait list or the wish list. Again. Let me give you some more of the article. Oh, yes. And the point was, the article never spoke about her fluffing her words and people not understanding her. But let me give you a quick line from this article. It's absolutely ridiculous. So she has this competition where she's supposed to build a mini structure. And clearly, Sloth Katie is finding it hard and it collapses. And the article suggests that the skills that she has are almost like engineering skills because she plays with children's toys. I mean, it's ridiculous. And then they celebrate the failure by saying, oh, that's happened to so many other people. There was nothing to the article. They just wanted to talk about them being there. They wanted us to talk about what she was wearing and to be wowed by her performance. She said 1 or 2 lines and then she built a structure which crumbled. Why is that impressive? The article had no conversation about why they have Scottish titles and Scotland might want independence. No, that wasn't a feature of the article. No, of course not. They just tried to argue that essentially all the comments were talking about how she was so natural and relatable. How was she relatable? How many people in the crowd go around smashing bottles against ships? Ships that defend nuclear capabilities. It's not in the purview or experience of everyone who was there. She's not relatable. It doesn't matter if you write it. She's not. And no amount of comments from bots is going to make it true. And that's it. So that's all I've got for you guys this week. So in summation, in this week's Headley Highlight Show's Royal Corner, we had Prince Harry giving a significant sum to a London charity that tackles poverty, exclusion, and provides food parcels out of his own money, not the public purse. We had the Duchess of Sussex releasing a lovely montage of pictures for their 7th wedding anniversary. And in addition to that, she is the most followed royal and the most followed royal of all of the royal families. Her Instagram now is 3 million subscribers. The green-eyed the king leech in waiting, Prince William, has trying to tether himself to David Attenborough, another national institution, so he can appear relevant. And he's going to be in one of his shows promoting the park rangers who are poorly paid. Right up your street, innit, Prince William? Because they're dwindling in number, and there's a series of this. There's, I think, 6 series of this where he appears in the trailer, and I imagine it's not going to appear on any ratings. No one's going to watch it, and no one's going to be writing any comments about it unless it's from a bot farm. Then you had King Charles delivering a powerful message as he walked a diplomatic tightrope, because he's basically going to Canada. When he's over there, he's going to be tethering us to the past and then suggesting that Canadian independence is something that Britain's going to defend. Please, we're not going to defend nothing. We don't do defense. We just do robbing people out. That's how we roll. That's how you lot roll. That's how the establishment roll. That's the reason why you don't want to let go of these countries, because you're still eating from them financially in some way. Also, Lazy Katie, Sloth Katie, and the Green-Eyed King are doing what they do best. Absolutely nothing. They're standing still, skin in teeth, and people are paying to see them. Perfect representation of them. As they are in wax, so they are in life. And finally, we had indolent Kate and her crumbling structure, her fluffing her words in Glasgow, and that blue dress that nobody wanted to buy. Even though she looked nice in it, no one wanted to buy it. And that's it, darlings. I hope you enjoyed this week's Headley Highlight Show's Royal Corner. Jump all over to my YouTube, become a subscriber, make a donation at deniseheadley.com. Buy me a cup of coffee, like, retweet and share. And thank you for your listening ears. And cut!